we might be able to win every trophy. That's 7. Pep, this man and his football, there's not much more you can say, is there? I mean, 34 trophies, I think. 34. Over on my Patreon page, we've been having a go at reinventing Pep. So we're going to take a Pep tactic, we're going to reinvent it, and we're going to focus on 3 players: Kyle Walker, Phil Foden and Rodri. We plan to dominate with a playmaking half-back in Rodri, a devastating attacking wing-back in Walker, and we're going to let Phil Foden do whatever he wants up there. So we've taken over Man City, admittedly not the biggest challenge in Football Manager, is it? And there's loads of Pep tactics out there for you to try, but we're going to try one a bit different today. It's not a replica, we're going to reinvent things, basically how I want Pep to play sometimes. Like that guy there can advise Pep what to do, but here we go. Obviously a cracking squad to work with. So I'm going to work from this 4-3-3, pretty safe bet. Now I did mention those key roles of Walker, Rodri and Phil Foden. So Walker down the right hand side, going to be a wing back on attack because I like seeing Walker higher up the pitch. None of this cutting in stuff that he does now and again to cover for the libero. He's going to bomb up there. Now Rodri is probably not a half-back in honesty because the half-back does drop super deep, but that's what I want him to do because I want him to be a bit of an old-school playmaker, a bit like a Pirlo, Scholes and Zidane in their later years. They dropped right back and deep and just started pinging balls around. And the other role we're going to take a bit of time with is this one. So Phil Foden quite often having to play out wide, but he has been allowed to play a lot more centrally this time. So in combination with Walker occupying that slot there, we're going to actually play Foden in there, more central. So those are the 3 key positions. The rest of them we're going to build around it to fit the players in the squad. Edison, sweeper keeper. Diaz and Ake or Stones, ball playing defenders. Josko Gvardiol, going a bit old school Pep here, bringing in the Cancelo role, inverted wing back. KDB, Mazzala attack, which will be super important because he's going to combine with Walker down the right. Bernardo, advanced playmaker. Jackie Boy, inverted winger. Erling, absolute poacher. So that's the team and that's the setup. You can see already that Rodri, Silva and De Bruyne already have amazing chemistry. We haven't even kicked a ball. We'll get into the team instructions throughout this video because I did tweak them a little bit along the way till I got my perfect combination. First trophy competed for was obviously the Community Shield. We weren't great here. I hadn't settled on the tactic fully, but we did get the dub, beating Arsenal 3-2. I then made a few changes to the team instructions just in time for Bournemouth to visit the Etihad, and I am so sorry Bournemouth fans. Yeah, so now I was happy with the way the team was looking. So next it was a second trophy to go for, the Super Cup against Sevilla. We got that win, should have been way more comfy. So now the team was starting to find their flow with this tactic. I was happy with the in-possession instructions, but a key point here, and I did put this out on Twitter if you follow me on there, higher tempo, we start with higher tempo, but if we struggle to break a team down and we're dominating, I pretty much straight away knock that back down to lower, meaning the players take a bit more time on the ball. West Ham strolled to the Etihad. I probably wish they hadn't bothered. Frustrating game against Real Sociedad at home in the Champions League. But I dropped to that lower tempo in the return game and it kind of worked. Blimey. Before I knew it, it was time for the next trophy to compete for. It was the Club World Cup. We're in the final here against Palmeiras. There's Big Phil, and he actually scores twice in this one. As we get trophy number 3. So January came and this was the tale of the tape. We were top of the Premier League, we'd won the Club World Cup, we'd won the Super Cup, we'd won the Community Shield, and we're in all the other cups. A closer look at the Premier League will see we're still undefeated with just 2 draws. Liverpool away and randomly Brentford. Our in-transition instructions, you'll notice I haven't got counter on. That's because we're such a strong team that most of the time teams are sitting deep, so there's no space to counter, so we just counter press. The big deal about Kyle Walker as a wing-back, how about 17 assists in 29 matches already? Foden had 7 in 23, Rodri was holding it all together in central midfield, and of course Erling was being stupid up front. I knew this Pep remix was looking good when we absolutely battered Bayern Munich. As we started 2024, we were absolutely flying. Hardest game so far? Ipswich Town in the Carabao Cup. They took us all the way to penalties. Edison bailed us out. So a little note on out of possession, I settled on a standard press. I started up high. In some games I will go to much higher when I'm combining it with lower tempo, but most of the time I stick at standard. Much more often pressing if we're getting really tired and we're dominating, so say we're 2-0 up or something. I'll kick that back and keep a bit of energy back. I won't lie, I had dreams of going undefeated and invincible, but Aston Villa stopped us in our tracks. It was then time for trophy number 4. It's a Carabao Cup against Brentford. Surely an easy one, right? Well, we absolutely battered them, but this, John Stone's own goal, kind of summed up the day. Devastated. We don't win all 7. But we did respond really well, and we beat PSG in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Pretty comfy. But we still rolled on in the league. Tottenham were second, believe it or not. But playing them, we battered them. Champions League semi-final, Real Madrid, just like real life. This was a bit tighter, but we got the win in the Bernabeu, knocking them out. At this stage, I was confident of 6 trophies. It was the FA Cup now, semi-final against Chelsea. We went behind in extra time, but equalised pretty much straight away. There's Walker with another assist from that right side. It went to penalties. Rico Lewis missed. Chelsea knocked us out. It's not going to be 6 trophies. Like a wounded beast, we played Chelsea at home in the Premier League to seal the title. Jackie Boy put it in. A 4-0 win gives us the Premier League. So that was trophy number 4, and it was time for the big one, the Champions League final. Before I show you that was the final tactic. I'd settled on all those team instructions down there. Now the tactic will be in my Patreon to directly download, but if you want the player instructions as well, I'll stick them on the end of the video. So Champions League final against Barcelona at Wembley. It went to the brink at the 89th minute, and Big Erling put it in. That 1-0 win gives us our 5th trophy of the season. It's a pretty successful season, that, isn't it? In the Prem, by the way, we finished on 96 points. We lost twice. We scored 105 times, conceding 21. Why was this role so key? Kyle Walker spent most of the time down there, like you've seen from the clips. And he ended up with 25 assists from right back. It should also be noted, I uploaded another tactic to Patreon where Foden was out wide with some play instructions of roaming from position and sit narrow, which meant he's sitting there with a double Mazzala this time. But for this season and all these results, this was the reinvention of Pep that I went for. So that's the reinvention of Pep. See a team in real life, see how they play, but how would you change it? Put it into FM, see what happens.